I don't know. Personally, I love I love the turkey sandwich, like mayonnaise, white bread,
Mm,
turkey sandwich leftovers.
mm,
So I'm like, I just fill up on sides and desserts on the main Thursday,
mm.
and then I'm like, I'll be back for you, turkey. So that's the way
That's
I've always
fair.
been.
Ham has some pretty good leftovers. Have you ever cut it up, thrown it in mac and cheese as a
Oh no,
leftover?
that sounds nice.
That's the way to go.
I
Little
get
honey mac and
real
cheese.
I'll have to try that. I'm a huge omelet guy.
Mm-mm. Oh, so
So
put it in the omelet would be good too.
yeah, that's I get fucking crazy with omelets. So some leftover ham is that's just begging for an omelet.
Yeah, honestly, Thanksgiving is almost like it's the leftovers are part of it for sure. I think that's
Yeah,
part of the day.
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah, I could go on about leftovers.
Me
It
too.
feels like it's nice, you know. I feel like on the day you have to be polite and like get everything, but the leftovers you're like, we're alone now. It's just me and you.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rep Rep Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty domination. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This will be out after Thanksgiving. This is pre-Thanksgiving that we're recording this. Little peek behind the curtain. How you doing over there, Dan?
I'm doing great, man. I got to tell you, I'm not going to do this every week, but I keep telling you, um, I lost all of my sleeper leagues
Oof,
last week.
that's
So
tough.
it really kicked me straight in the shorts. But it's okay, man, because I won my DFS, dude.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's right. And
Multi-TD Madness helped, huh?
I'm telling you, dude, I'm gonna just pull it up because it's if you guys listened to the episode last week, and then I'm gonna tell you my lineup real quick, you're gonna just crack up. But there was Jordan Love, and
Mm,
then it was Brian Wilson or
mm.
Brian Robinson, who we're talking about. I called out Pollard for having that soft matchup against Carolina. They're always letting the touchdowns go down. Ayuk,
Oof,
Tank Dell,
went
Trey
off.
McBride.
Damn.
It was like, yeah, there's a couple other guys, but it was pretty much our episode in a lineup, and it got the job done. So
Let's
thank
go.
you, and I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna put these rookies in. I'm gonna put some non-NFL players in my lineup next week. See how it
Ooh,
goes.
that'll be
Yeah.
fun. All right. Well, heard it here first. You need to pay attention to him, man. Our audience, you need to pay attention to him because sounds like we got a winning formula for DFS. Maybe we need to start advertising that a little more.
There you go.
All right. Well, so last week we did our trade deadline episode. So if you traded away any assets, you're probably already looking forward to next season. And I've been doing that in a couple leagues already this season, and it's not necessarily the most fun. So we thought today we'd do a little like flash forward to get you excited if your fantasy season's a little checked out already. Maybe these are some guys that you can get looking forward to going into the rookie draft. And if you don't have a trade deadline or your trade deadline hasn't come, maybe you can acquire some more picks with these guys in mind. So, with all of that red tape out of the way, you want to hit me with somebody you're looking at right now, Daniel?
Okay, you got it, man. I'm going to start with running back,
Hmm.
just because why not go off the top with the most spectacular and the most enticing prospect position, if you ask me. But I'm going with Braylon Allen, man.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you did any looking up on this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Yeah, of course you did, right? But he's out of Wisconsin, and we've got a little bit of a thing going in the NFL with Wisconsin running backs. We've had a couple of good ones over the days. I'm mostly, thinking of Melvin Ingram, no, Melvin Gordon, sorry,
Melvin
and
Gordon.
obviously Jonathan Taylor.
Hmm.
So I see this guy is following in the footsteps. The reason I like him so much is I've been following his career for several years. There a couple of years back, I was doing like a box score boomers thing where I was just kind of strolling through
Hmm.
box scores, looking at guys putting up big numbers, and I noticed this guy as a true freshman playing in Wisconsin. And in the 9 games to end his freshman year, 8 of them were over 100 yards. And he averaged in those 9 games over 130 yards per game.
Wow.
Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty good for a true freshman.
Mhm.
But then he just kind of keeps it going. This year, he's slowed down a little bit. He's had a high ankle sprain, but he's still kind of a powerhouse, man. The reason I'm really interested in this guy is he's 6'2",
Oof.
and PFF has him as 245.
Hmm.
So that's a big old dude. Um,
Brandon
you know,
Jacobs.
yeah, dude. He's uh he's a man and a half. So yeah, that true freshman year, he had over 1,200 yards, had over 1,200 yards last year, and he's still averaging over 5 yards a carry, double-digit touchdowns 3 years in a row. And just watching him play, man, he's a big guy. 6'2" is really tall for a
Yeah,
running
it
back.
is.
You want these guys to be able to like shoot through gaps and whatnot. Um, but he's just kind of one of those guys that once he gets his momentum up and going, he's kind of hard to stop. And my favorite thing about him is like he lowers his shoulder into contact. Like, you think of a big
Mhm.
guy, you'd be able to get low on him. Like he gets real low when it comes to the tackle, and he can beast through some guys. So I like him quite a bit. PFF has him as like the 10th highest prospect as far as running backs go. And going into the season, he was much higher than that. He was like top three. So I'd expect him to deliver on a top three level. So this is one of those guys that I'm getting excited about, especially with his stock currently a little bit lower than I think it should be. But yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah,
he's
man.
amazing.
Digging into the film a little bit, you're right. He's a super powerful, strong runner, but like I was watching him against Illinois, and the safety came in screaming to try and take him out, and he got so low and just crushed that dude and just went on. So yeah, he's impressive, man. It'll be interesting. I've been kind of toying this idea with the bigger running backs that they like seeing they don't tend to last as long, it seems like. And we've got the guy I'm going to talk about in just a minute is a little bit on the bigger end as well. So it's interesting that they're both going to be bigger guys. I'm curious how it's going to work out. And also, yeah, PSF has him at 245.
Yeah.
I'll be intrigued at if that weight comes in the way they have it listed there. Seems like some of these college weights are always really, really wild. But yeah, man, he's a big bruiser. It'll be cool to have another one of those back in the NFL. I think he probably one of the higher end running back picks at this point in my film watching anyway.
Oh yeah. And the nice thing is he's 19, dude. Like
Oof,
he turns 20 in January. So
that's
that's
awesome.
that's insane.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Well, I've got a running back for you. His name is Taj Brooks. He's out of Texas Tech. And man, like I was kind of just digging into the PFF stuff, like going through their numbers, and like this guy just kept popping in a lot of the metrics that we like to track. But he's not really like he's not really on their big board right now. He's not getting a lot of draft buzz. So I don't know if this is I don't know where we're going with this, but I am really in on this guy, and we'll see if the ball starts to get rolling on him because he put up crazy numbers this year, led the FBS in yards, 1,357 yards. Also led in forced missed tackles with 86, which is
Wow.
just ridiculously impressive for a guy listed at 230. He's 5'10, 230, so he's not as big as Braylon Allen, but he's really thick if he comes in at 230 at 5'10. And but shifty for a guy that big, which was really, really interesting. Just kind of that like natural running style that I like, almost like a Nick Chubb, like not gonna get you a lot of in the receiving game, but like just consistently great on the ground because I mean, he had a lot of work last season. 251 attempts. That was second in the nation. But again, he was first in yards. So he just kind of had the vision and the patience that I like to see with that burst. I think in the next level, you know, he could have like potentially just a 2 down back kind of sticker on him. But I think that 2 downs could be awesome, honestly. Like he doesn't have that like long ball speed. His long this year was like 46. So it's not like that crazy. But he was tied for 11th in the nation with 10 or longer yards runs with 23, I think it was. I forgot to write it down. I think it was something crazy. So like he was still getting chunks and chunks of yardage. It just wasn't like 50, 60 yards. I just, man, I really, really like him. He's got a lot of power to him, but like enough wiggle to get out of these spaces and then kind of hit the hole. One, I think he's going to be successful, and I think he's going to get some more traction in terms of the NFL draft. I'd really like to see him in Baltimore with Lamar in that power running game system. I think it would work super, super well. And if it is kind of like a bigger running back thing, I mean, he could maybe not go as long, but I think the first 4 or 5 years of the career could be awesome for this guy.
Hell yeah, man. This is a guy that was not on my radar. So you got me pumped up, man. You always got a good eye for those RBs, man. So
Well, Dwayne McBride would like a word, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm in on him. We'll see how it goes. This is early on in the film as well. So
oh yeah, this is like first look, man. This is like
yeah,
sneak peek.
big time.
Just giving I like doing this because we're just looking kind of randomly, just looking for stuff that jumps out,
Mhm.
and so it's just the first look. These could be guys that you hear about a lot in the coming months, but they could be guys that fly under the radar, and maybe we tipped you off, and you can get an edge on someone that's gonna pop. So yeah, I
Hopefully, that's what we're here for.
that's yeah, dude. We're doing the rough research for your drafts, my friends. Um, but man, let's get into quarterbacks. You cool with that?
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, running backs, everything we already know, like the age of the running backs success is like getting so high that it's gonna have to break. So I'm pumped about this new crop of running backs, but for quarterbacks, man, it's just been like a brutal year for injuries.
Mhm.
And this is just going to show like I'm looking to this class to give some solid backups, give a little bit of relief in the super flex, a little bit of depth, man, because it's been a little slim pickings
Mhm.
these past couple of years, and some of these guys are going off, man. So I'm gonna get into Michael Penix Jr.
Mm.
Um, yeah, this guy is pretty interesting. He's a little bit older. Right now, he's 23. He'll be 24 for next year's season. Um, he's 6'3" and 213. He plays for Washington. They're undefeated right now, and he's playing some really incredible ball. He's got just like the sexiest deep ball, and like his ball placement
Mm.
in general is just incredible. Like tight windows, contested catches, like a snappy. He's a southpaw, right? So he's throwing left-handed into these tight windows, and it's just incredibly fun to watch. Um, a couple of things that jump out to me that are impressive for him is really his ability to pull multi reads down. Like he can process defenses pretty well. But he is a little bit older. He's been around for a while. He's actually in his sixth season.
Mhm.
He had 4 seasons with Indiana before coming to Washington. And yeah, last year with Washington, he had over 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns. He's already got 30 touchdowns and almost 3,700 yards this year. So he's really kind of at the top of his game. He's in the top three for all kinds of metrics, including, touchdowns, yards, yards per attempt. And I like him a lot. He's given me some weird Hendon Hooker vibes though.
Mm,
Because coming out of Tennessee, if you guys didn't know, he's with Detroit now. He had a really good accuracy in the ball, the deep ball, but he also had some injuries that held him up, keeping him older in college. And as I dug into Penix a little bit more, man, I see that all 4 of his years in Indiana were cut short by injuries, including 2 ACLs
mm.
on altering years, and then 2 shoulder injuries, different shoulders on alternating years. Um, and it really bummed me out, man. So as much as I like him, I'm pivoting, man. I'm gonna tell you guys the real deal is Bo Nix. You know what I mean? He's good. People are sleeping on him. The only team he's lost to this year is Washington. But he's got the highest completion percentage in all of college football with 71.8. He's only 23 years old. And despite being outside the top 20 in pass attempts, he is top 5 in completions, total yards, touchdowns, and his turnover worthy play percentage is 0.07%. Only 2 picks on the year. He's got 2 years with Oregon after being in Auburn for 3 years, but in those 2 years, he has 19 rushing touchdowns.
Damn.
So I'm pivoting. I'm pivoting on the injury. I'm going Bo Nix, baby.
Okay. All right.
That
Well,
weird with you.
I was prepared for Penix. I'm not as prepared for Nix, so I'll share my thoughts on Penix as well. I'm with you on the deep ball. Go watch the Oregon game.
Yeah,
Ironically, the one you're talking about.
both these dudes.
Yeah, they balled out, and Penix just some beautiful, beautiful deep touchdowns. Really, really good ball placement. I did feel like when he missed, it seemed to be like in the middle, like 10 to 20 yard range. So I don't know if he like maybe has some kind of issues there. But I think he's a really good decision maker, but I don't think he's great when the play starts to break down. And that kind of speaks to what you're saying, the 2 ACLs. And he doesn't have a lot of rushing yards or anything, 34 in the season. So he doesn't have like the escapability that some of these other guys have, but he is a great thrower. And so we'll see how he turns out. And yeah, I can't wait to dig into Bo Nix. He was going to be one of the next quarterbacks I got into. So I'm excited about that. But tell you a quarterback I did get into, and we had a great season, and he was a lot of fun to watch. Jaden Daniels transferred from Arizona State to LSU in 2022. Dual threat, man, 1,000 yards on the ground, 3,000 yards on through the air already. 10 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons and 1,000 yards on the ground. That's back-to-back seasons for both those stats. And he had 844 yards at Arizona State before he transferred. So it wasn't like it was just an LSU thing. He has had a massive leap in passing in terms of touchdown to interception ratio. In 2022, it was 17 for 3, which is still good, but just not anything crazy. But 36-4 in this season already. Only 7 picks since transferring to LSU. I feel like he plays really aggressively, but still smart. Like, he threw one at the back of the end zone against Florida State where he was trying to whip it really aggressively in there, but it was still like down and away. So like the defender didn't really have a chance on it, but it was still this like aggressive throw that you maybe wouldn't always take. So I kind of liked that. I really liked that, honestly. And obviously his rushing is just great. Like I just really, really quick in space. He can take any run to the house. Super, super exciting and fun to watch. But I also think he goes through his progressions well. I don't think he's always looking to run. His head is usually downfield. And then on the design runs, obviously he's there to take off. A little overconfident, not in like a personality way, but like he tried to leap over the entire offensive and defensive line on a run one time. And it's like, dude, like don't get hurt, man. Like, chill out. That's not gonna work in the NFL. So like, reel that back in. I feel like he always feels like he can score, which is probably true. So I get it, but just reel it in just a little bit. And watching the tape, I kept feeling like, man, like I don't feel him taking all these deep shots, but he's leading the league in yards per attempt at 11.6. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's just not the tape I watched or whatever. But I think he even throws on the run well. Like, I don't know. I feel like somebody's going to fall in love with this guy in the draft. And I feel like in terms of dynasty, I know we got Caleb Williams and Drake May are these incredible prospects, but I think the like ceiling guy might end up being like Jaden Daniels in terms of like people pushing for like go for the ceiling like Anthony Richardson last year. So because he's got the dual threat ability. I mean, he's listed at 6'4", 210, so he's a bit undersized, kind of like a Lamar Jackson. So you might worry about him getting hurt. But man, if this season is an indicator of what we could get in the NFL, like he should be a top 10 pick. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I remember watching a lot of his film last year and trying to make a parallel between like his first year with LSU and like reasons why we should still be in on Keyshawn Boutte. So whoops, whoops. But yeah, it seems like he's really made some progress going into this year. I mean, that's crazy. 36 TDs, like that's nuts, man.
Balling out.
I was paying attention to him a little bit when he was with the Sun Devils because of that rushing game that he was rolling out. So I don't know, man. I'm pretty amped on him. He's another weird one where it's like PFF has him as 210, but Pro Sports Reference has him at 185. And I'm like, oh shit.
There's a wide
I
gap.
need to know. That's way too wide, like
Mhm.
the Braylon Allen was like 8 pound difference.
Mhm.
This is substantial, the 25 pounds. So
I will say all the years I've used PFF, I feel like theirs are the least accurate early on.
oh yeah.
I just ease of use, all the stats I was looking at were in the same place, so I'm just going to
Oh
use
yeah.
theirs. But like I feel like theirs has to be altered after the combine for sure. I mean, a lot of people's do, so it's just an issue. But
Hey man,
um,
I'm all for Jaden Daniels though, man. I think he's squirrely as hell.
yeah.
And him especially, and then Penix, they both have some really, really high-end wide receivers they're supporting.
Hmm.
So you like to see that. I feel like that translates well into the NFL, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So if they can make a name for a guy in college, they can definitely keep the guys happy in the pro level.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know.
CJ Stroud.
That's right,
Anyone?
man. Never heard of him.
All right. Well, speaking of receivers, you want to hit me with yours?
Yes. Yes, I'll go ahead. I've picked Johnny Wilson.
Hmm.
He's out of Florida State, and there's really nothing crazy about this guy that you should like that you could see on paper that makes you excited, right? He's only got 33 catches for 532 yards and only 2 touchdowns, but the guy is 6'7", 235. And when you watch him play, uh, like he gets off the line real quick. He's real snappy, and he strides like a gazelle, man. Like he's got these long legs and the long arms. So it makes me feel like he's going to be able to transition into being, I don't know, maybe like a Darren Waller type where they swap him over to tight end or
Kind of what I
something.
was thinking.
But the thing is, he's like over I think it's like 70% of his snaps are on the outside. So he's not even like in the slot or anything. Like he's a true X in his offense and he's stretching the field. It's pretty incredible. I think that he's got like some pretty crappy hands at times. He drops some balls that it's like the quarterback puts it where only he can reach it because he's 6'7", he's a gigantic guy. But I don't know if he's just like kind of awkward or what. But it seemed like he had some balls just kind of bounce off his hands, and
Hmm.
it had me a little bit concerned. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's doing pretty well. He's only being outmatched by Keenan Coleman, who is, like a top 5 wide receiver in next year's class. Allegedly, he's only about 80 yards behind him on Florida State. So don't let the lower numbers scare you. This guy's got a ton of potential, and I'm very, very interested in him. He's got 16 yards per catch right now, and he had 21 per
Ooh.
catch last year. So I think he's capable of a lot. You don't think of like big guys being downfield threats, but he's got a good A dot and he really moves quickly, and he's gonna mismatch everybody. There's nobody that can cover a dude that's 6'7". Like that, you don't put that guy on the defense because he's worthless in pretty much 85% of all plays unless it's going to Johnny Wilson. So I like the mismatch, and I like the potential. So he's kind of a sleeper for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I do think there's a significant chance that he is a tight end convert, which would be fine. I mean, 6'7"
Yeah.
puts even 10, 20 pounds on to that frame, and then he can body people, like you're saying. Like he makes a lot of matchup issues. He looks like a giant out there running around with these huge individuals, and he's towering above them. I noticed the drops as well. He had a couple bad ones against LSU,
Yeah.
specifically that I saw. But yeah, man, like he would be a matchup nightmare in the NFL if some team could get him going. Be fun to watch. Um, I've got a guy also who might be a potential matchup nightmare, and it's Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina. And he's 6'3", listed at 227, but woo,
Okay.
he's fast. Oh man, he's got a lot of speed. We don't have a 40 time for him yet, but he was clocked at 22 miles an hour at some point in this season. So I think he has dangerous game breaking speed. Um, but he's still big and he uses that body well. 47% contested catch rate out of 17 tries. So it's not like
Wow.
he wasn't
Okay.
going, like it wasn't 4, it was 17, and he's getting a damn near 50-50 ball on it, which is awesome. I think he's just really strong in everything he does, the way he runs his routes, the way he blocks runs, just high point aggressive, going after the ball when he's upfield. Like just everything is aggressive about this guy, and I like it. I do think that the run blocking might be a little too aggressive. It could use some polish. He gets kind of people go around him quite a bit. When he gets his hands on you, you're not getting away typically, but he can kind of whiff. So if that could use some polish, but that's not that big a deal necessarily. But when I'm talking about going up in the air, like against Florida, he had an absolutely beautiful deep ball where he just went up and snatched it at the high point. And that you'll see that watching his highlights consistently, these high point catches, his timing seems like ridiculously impeccable. Like one point I remember him jumping and thinking like, "Oh, that's way too early." And then it's like he hung in the air forever, but just caught it at the exact right spot. So he knows what he's doing out there, man. I think he could at least be a second round pick, if not getting pushed into the first round. I really do. Like if he comes out and say he runs a 4.4 or like lower, insanely, something crazy like that, I think he would immediately jump up the draft boards because he's got the skill set. It's almost like it reminds me of like what you wanted Treylon Burks with this like bigger body with the speed. And we could kind of see that again. And I'm excited for it, man. I hope this translates because he was explosive, super fun to watch.
Hell yeah, man. You know what I love about this draft class is like a ton of these guys weigh over 200 pounds. You
Nice.
know what I mean? That shit confused the hell out of me last year when I'm like, they're really good at football, but they're tiny. I need some meat on these dudes. I'm into that. Fucking that guy seems like a perfect package, man. 6'3", 227, angry. I love it. Shit, man. I love that. You want to do tight ends real quick?
Yeah. Let's do a tight end and then we can wrap up and let everybody get on with their holiday weekend.
All right. I want to say something. I have a prepared speech about tight ends.
Okay.
Basically, man, we were talking the other week about how people aren't valuing tight ends enough in dynasty leagues.
Mhm.
They treat it like a sell high as like a return on their investment. But what we really need to do is start valuing some depth at the position, man. We saw it go through this year, right? You got Pitts is still whatever. Waller's injured. Dallas Goddard's injured. You got Fryermuth going IR. Big hopes for Okonkwo never happened. Mayer's a slow starter. I loved Higby and Everett. These guys are nobodies right now. Meanwhile, you got Kincaid, Laporta, even Jake Ferguson popping off, man.
Jake Ferguson
So
looks great.
it's time. It's time to take the tight end position seriously. And I think we got a couple of guys that can help you take care of business as far as tight ends go. I'm going to start it off with, let's see, Jachavion Sanders, which is your Texas tight end. Um, I really like this guy for a multitude of reasons. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, he just doesn't look to me like a tight end at all. He's 6'4, 243. And even though he's in line 70% of his snaps, he gets downfield extremely fast. And that, I mean, that's showcased really in his yards per catch, 16.3. Like that's pretty amazing for a tight end. His A dot is 10.8. That's pretty great as well. But the thing that really just blew up for me is his athleticism at the catch point, like his ability to kind of stop and jump up for a ball instead of just like being big and strong. Like he's getting jump balls by jumping, and a lot of the times he is positioning and like turning back and catching a ball in stride, like to adjust to the ball and catch it and keep running. That's not really, I mean, to me, that's not really typical of a tight end. Like this guy is so athletic and explosive. I think he might be, a primarily a pass catching tight end at the next level. And he really had a smooth transition after the catch and ate up on the yards after the catch. He had 8.5 yards per catch after the catch, which I felt to be pretty incredible. But just like his ball skills, his awareness, his footwork, and his speed, it doesn't look like a tight end to me. So if he keeps that title going into the NFL, I think that he's going to be heavily featured in the passing game and become a immediate tight end darling in the fantasy realm. Man, I'm into this dude pretty big.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's a great receiving option. I mean, you're right. He is kind of undersized.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just saw Kincaid. He was a little undersized coming in, and he's been great. So I don't think that's a death nail as much as it is anymore. You've got these offenses that want to get really, really fast. And somebody, I don't know, Miami could use a tight end like Sanders. That would be incredible to add to that speed of that offense. And that would be a really, really nice piece. So I'm with you. I don't think he adds that much in the blocking game, but that's not his deal. And that's fine. It doesn't need to be. We have receiving tight ends all the time. You got to worry about where he goes. You got to make sure that they're going to use him like that. You can't have another Mike Gesicki situation. I know that's Miami, but different regime, but I'm with you, man. He was fun to watch. My tight end, there's not a lot of tape on AJ Barner right now. He didn't have that many bang games, but go watch him versus Michigan State. So Michigan versus Michigan State. Michigan beat the brakes off of Michigan State, but a lot of people got involved, but that was his best game of the season. And I think he's fast for his size. He's 6'6", 251. So still a bit undersized weight there, but I think the frame he could build out 5 to 10 more pounds and be fine. But he's a really great blocker. PFF had him rated over 80 in the run blocking last season, which is an above average starter. I think he's just a big, strong target at the catch point, and he's not afraid of all at contact. He took a lot of big hits in the tape that I did watch and just rolled out of it still with the ball. it doesn't really seem to phase him. Like he's got good concentration, I guess is what I mean. Like the commotion around him doesn't really seem to phase him. He's always making these catches that you would think would be dropped. I think he got a little overshadowed in Michigan. They have another guy there, Loveland, which watch out for him in the 2026 draft because that kid can ball. He had 2 touchdowns against Michigan State, so they were using that 2 tight end system. So I think it made it harder for Barner to shine, but I do think he could be a good NFL player. Not necessarily like a boom tight end guy, but maybe like a Freiermuth, consistent, tremendous presence there at tight end, which is fine. We need that more in the NFL. Like you're saying, we've been ravaging or trying to look for all these guys in the tight end room and they're not popping. So if we can get another consistent presence, and I do think he could sneak in there. Like he only had 211 yards on the season, only 1 touchdown, but 99 of those yards and one of the touchdowns, the only touchdown came against Michigan State. So that's kind of what I'm projecting him. And maybe that was just a one flash in the pan game, but I liked what I saw during that game.
I mean, you say that, 211 yards, and that doesn't sound that impressive, but you're talking about a Michigan team that is like under 2,500 yards passing on the year. So it's nearly 10% of the team's output, and they only have 20 passing touchdowns this year. So is that 5% of the, so
That's
it's
fair.
it's not horrible. Yeah. I mean, I like him, and I think pass catchers out of Michigan, everyone's a little sleepy on just because of that, but we've seen it happen, man. Nico Collins, baby, it's coming alive. So it can definitely happen for anybody. Man, this is awesome. I love the rookie stuff. I got some first round picks out there. In our big for the belt league, I don't have any, so that's cool, but that's all right. I've been known to get crafty, and this is a time to fall in love and get those picks before the offseason, man. Get them before they lock in, because people are gonna hold on to them, man. You got to be tight. We don't have a trade deadline in that league, which is awesome, that I know of. But
yeah, we do. We have one for the playoffs. It's right at the playoffs, and it's during the 3 weeks of the playoffs, 3 or 4 weeks, and then it immediately goes away. So it's just three to 4 weeks.
So it locks for the playoffs.
Yeah, we just don't want like somebody sending a whole mess for the championship game, I guess.
I hear you.
But yeah, no, this is
a little
exciting
later than
time.
other ones. So
yeah,
still make some moves
for sure.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, we're exciting times. It was fun to get back into the tape, man. It's a fun time. So hopefully, if your season hasn't gone super well, you can look at this episode and look forward and make some move, get some guys, and have a lot of excitement for next year. But until then, hope everybody had a great holiday and continues for the rest of the weekend. We've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Happy turkeys.
I took a lease out on